All right, next up, another American for us, DK, our third of four, of course, at these tour finals. Let's go to the 30-year-old Madison Keys, who, of course, participates in her second tour finals and reaching this championship here this season, 7th in the rankings. She's 9th in overall ELO, 16th in yearly ELO, probably because she played, I believe, the fewest events. No, tied with Sabalenka with her 15 events, fewest total at these tour finals. 37-13 overall, 11th most wins, 13 wins at the majors, tied for 5th, 27-8 against non-top 20, it's tied for 15th, 10-5 against the top 10, tied for 4th, 5-4 against the top, 10-5 against the top 20, tied for 4th, 5-4 against the top 10, tied for 7th. Obviously, her 2 titles come to start the season, Adelaide, Australia. She did make the quarterfinals in 8 of the 15 events that she played. When we saw her, she was pretty consistent all year long. I have a category for all of these players called best wins. For hers, I just said her entire Australia, and I've said this all season long, but even in the loss to Clara Tauson in week 1, like if you were watching closely, you could see like, wait, something's different about this Madison Keys. Everything just looks a little looser, a little more fluid. Like she's in for something special. And then, of course, she wins Adelaide. She wins that Australian Open to beat Svitolina, Rybakina, Swiatek, and Sabalenka back-to-back as she did in those semifinals and finals. It was the only thing missing from her resume. I think there's a really fun conversation to have in November, and no free plugs, but again, the amount of insult. I swear, I'm the one who brings up the Hall of Fame, and then Ben goes and does a podcast of it. Like, I'm the one who's talking about it always, and then this guy just goes and takes our ideas. But it's a fun conversation. Like, is Madison Keys a Hall of Famer? You can have this conversation now firmly because she won that major title here at this Australian Open. And, again, second career tour finals appearance. Ben did say it beautifully when he came on the show and we were talking about the Americans. Like, talk about someone who would sign up for the year she had right now. If she could go back to January 1st, she'd be like, yep, sign me up. Don't need to ask any other questions. How do you evaluate the 30-year-old's performance, DK?
Well, first of all, on the Hall of Fame question, evidently one slam is not enough because my queens, Anastasia Moschina and Flavia Pennetta, did not make it in. So I think we have to be a little bit more discerning when it comes to letting people into the, or maybe less discerning when it comes to letting people into the Hall of Fame for my purposes. But listen, what can I say about my fellow Real Housewives fan who has become my best friend and closest compatriot? Listen, after having flamed out trying to ask Jessica Pegula basic pop culture questions, to have someone who was able to banter back and forth to me about the secret lives of Mormon wives, I was like, I found you, and you're like leaving soon. Like, I don't know how much longer we're gonna have you on tour, and you can't go now. But it's hard because yes, she did everything that everyone thought she could ever do at that Australian Open and then some. It was amazing. It was triumphant. It was just like it answered every question. It was the culmination of all her hard work. She, tweaked the game. She tweaked the equipment. She's got the coaching husband dynamic that's really, that seems to be working out very well for her. Like, it just, everything came together for that tournament through the first, 3 months of the year, basically. And we really haven't seen that much from her since. And I feel like there's a lot of people talking about how consistent her year has been. She has had far more consistent seasons and has not had a slam to show for it. So that I bump on for sure. But then again, it's like, it really is like the tale of two seasons of this Australian Open triumph and then the US Open first round against Renata Zarazua when she hit 90 unforced errors. Like, it was just, and that's the last time we've seen her on court since then. I see her practicing. I was a little bit unsure if we would even see her here because, the fact that, she took the whole Asian swing off. You're like, what is the health right now? What is she recovering from? So,
is that what you would ask her in the press conference? You go, so Madison, what is the health?
What is the health? I did that once when in a Holger Rune press conference, actually. He was really sniffly and I was just like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I was like, you're welcome. I asked the tough questions at the press conference. Yeah, so she won the slam. So it's like an AA minus, but it is a weaker A than Iga or Coco.
It's in the A's. It has to be because of that major title. It's it's not the final Infinity Stone in the gauntlet, but she now has an Infinity Stone.
And that's that thing you'll never forget. When you what do you remember about the 2025 season? Madison Keys beating Iga and Rita back to back to finally win her Australian Open. Like that is just like a seminal moment for.
And she beat the two best.
Continuum.
It was just like the two best, and the defending finalist in Rybakina. It was just like. It was everything, and she'd won the title a week before. We had seen her do this. She'd come close a bunch of different times over the past couple of seasons, but that run was special, and it set off. It was such a fun first 3 months of the season with Anisimova and Andreeva finding their successes in February, and Andreeva leading it into, again, Indian Wells, where she does the exact same thing. Like, even the losses, you're right, the Zarazua one felt pronounced. The Siegemund loss at Wimbledon, you have to throw in the fact she had the flu, and you could see visibly she was ill out on court fighting herself, and it's
Siegemund.
Yeah, she made quarters Roland Garros. Obviously, again, semis Indian Wells, quarters Madrid, quarters Montreal. Loses in 3 sets to Rybakina in Cincy round of 16. There's not a lot of bad results. I agree. I don't know what narrative or who these people are saying. She had a bad season, but those people are dumb.
I'm not. I think people have been saying she had a better season. Yeah. If anything, you're mad at me because I'm saying people have been talking about how consistent her year was, and I'm saying I feel like she has had more consistent seasons than this one without the Slam. I think the fact that she won the Slam has made the rest of everything else look a lot better.
If that's the argument, I mean. She has been better in other years in totality, although you look at the numbers, the 37 wins for her, second most for her in a single season, trails just 2016 where she won 47. Win percentage 74% is the best of her career. I mean, 11-0 stretch to start your season will certainly help you numbers-wise the rest of the way from that win percentage standpoint. Only 13 losses,
seasons
though.
Where she was a factor more at more tournaments, I think, coming into the grass court season, she usually wins one of those warm-ups. She's won, Cincinnati, just was not necessarily so much of the hype to the extent that there was hype coming into Wimbledon and US Open, 2 tournaments that I think she thinks she can win, were based off of the fact that she won Australia, not because she had been playing that recently coming into that tournament.
Yeah. I'm still an A. You
can't take away that. You can't take away that title,
and it's not an A- either. It's an A because it's 30 years old as a man who turned 30 this year. I get it. Where you're like, okay, athletically, I don't know how many more years I'm going to have at this level. Doesn't mean she's done with her career anytime soon. Her game feels like one that will age well because it's so power centric. But
it's how long she wants to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about retirement. It's all. But
here's the good news. Now everything else is gravy. And when you have a season like that where now the rest of your career is just who cares? I won my major. I know how good I am. Everything else is just, again, gravy. A.
What would she rather have? A Grand Slam title or an A from the Crack Racquets podcast? Or an A- from the Crack Racquets podcast?
You know what? Both are available. So it's fine. We'll give her a firm A here, and again, second tour finals for her. That number's too low. Is she a Hall of Famer? We can save that discussion for December, DK, if that works for you. Next up.
Fun fact, do you know who she beat at her last WTA finals? I think it's her only win.
I'm going to say Meskina.
No, it was Meskina. Babe.
Oh, it's just because I figured this was the context of it. Wait, 17. Hold on. Let me think of the field. You're right. I just talked through the field. Oh, 16. You're right. I'm going to say Kerber.
Her one win was over Dominika Sibylkova, who went on to win the title.
Okay, look, that's who matters.
It was day one, too, and it was Sibylkova's not going to do anything this week.
Foreshadowing, DK. Yes. Foreshadowing.
Again, qualifying scenarios, the best part of the finals.
Who'd have thunk it 9 years later? There she'd be winning her first Australian Open title.